37 million Americans have diabetes and nearly 90 million more are prediabetic. But here's what the food industry doesn't want you to know. The vegetables they market as diabetic-friendly might actually be spiking your blood sugar more than you realize. What I'm about to share will completely flip your understanding of which vegetables actually help control blood sugar and which ones you've been told are safe but aren't. We're counting down the 10 best vegetables for diabetics, and I promise you, number 2 will shock you because it's sitting in most people's refrigerators right now being completely ignored. While number 1 is so powerful it can drop blood sugar faster than some medications, but almost no one over 60 knows how to prepare it correctly. Before we dive into this countdown, I'm curious about something. Drop a comment and let me know your age and where you're watching from. Are you managing diabetes yourself or helping a loved one navigate this journey? Let's start with number 10 on our countdown, and this one might surprise you because it's probably the most misunderstood vegetable when it comes to blood sugar control. Number 10 is corn. Yes, you heard that right. Now, before you click away thinking I've lost my mind, hear me out. Most people think corn is off limits for diabetics because it's starchy and sweet. But here's what they don't tell you: baby corn, not regular sweet corn, contains compounds called anthocyanins that actually help your body process glucose more efficiently. The mechanism is simple but powerful. These anthocyanins work like tiny traffic controllers in your bloodstream, directing sugar into your muscle cells where it gets burned for energy instead of floating around causing damage to your blood vessels and organs. Research from agricultural universities has shown that people who include small amounts of baby corn in their meals can see blood sugar improvements within just 2 weeks. Let me tell you about Margaret, 72, a retired teacher from Ohio who loved corn on the cob but was told by her doctor to eliminate all corn from her diet. She was devastated because summer barbecues just weren't the same. When I explained the difference between baby corn and regular corn, she started adding a handful of baby corn to her stir-fries 3 times a week. Within 2 weeks, her morning blood sugar readings dropped from an average of 160 to 135. And she felt like she could enjoy family gatherings again without the constant worry about her numbers. Here's your protocol for baby corn: stick to a 1/4 cup serving 3 times per week, always paired with a protein and healthy fat. You can find baby corn canned or fresh at most grocery stores. Rinse canned versions to remove excess sodium. The key is preparation. Never eat it alone. Always combine it with something like grilled chicken or a tablespoon of olive oil to slow down any glucose response. But here's where it gets interesting. And this leads us perfectly into number 9. Number 9 is eggplant. And this purple powerhouse contains one of nature's most potent blood sugar stabilizers that most people over 60 have never heard of. It's called Magnesium, and it works like a microscopic shield protecting your cells from the damage that high blood sugar can cause. When your blood sugar spikes, it creates what scientists call oxidative stress. Think of it like rust forming inside your body. Magnesium acts like a protective coating, preventing that rust from forming and keeping your blood vessels healthy. Studies from major medical centers suggest that people who eat eggplant regularly have better long-term blood sugar control and less diabetic complications. Here's the story of Robert, 68, a former mechanic who was struggling with afternoon blood sugar crashes that left him exhausted and cranky. His wife was getting frustrated because he'd fall asleep in his chair every day around 3 o'clock. When we added roasted eggplant to his lunch routine, something remarkable happened. Within 10 days, those afternoon crashes disappeared completely, and he had steady energy throughout the day. Your eggplant protocol is crucial because preparation matters more than you think. Cut it into half-inch cubes, salt it lightly and let it sit for 30 minutes to draw out bitterness, then rinse and pat dry. Roast with a tablespoon of olive oil at 400 degrees for 25 minutes. Eat a half-cup serving with lunch 4 times per week. Never eat it raw. And avoid frying it in heavy oils, which cancels out the benefits. The compound that makes eggplant so powerful for blood sugar also makes it a perfect bridge to number 8. Number 8 is Brussels sprouts. But not the mushy, bitter ones you remember from childhood. When prepared correctly, Brussels sprouts contain alpha-lipoic acid, a compound that actually helps your body use insulin more effectively. It's like giving your cells a key that fits the lock better. Most people over 60 avoid Brussels sprouts because they associate them with unpleasant childhood memories. But here's what changed everything: the secret is in the cutting and cooking method. Alpha-lipoic acid becomes more concentrated when the sprouts are halved and roasted at high heat, creating caramelized edges that are actually delicious. Research has shown that alpha-lipoic acid can improve insulin sensitivity by up to 30% in some people, which means your body needs less insulin to process the same amount of food. This is especially important for people over 60 because insulin sensitivity naturally decreases with age. Janet, 75, a retired nurse from Florida, had been avoiding vegetables altogether because she was so tired of tasteless, boiled options her doctor recommended. Her blood sugar was climbing steadily, and she felt like healthy eating was just too complicated. When I showed her how to roast Brussels sprouts with a touch of balsamic vinegar, she couldn't believe how sweet and nutty they tasted. She started eating them twice a week, and her 3-month blood sugar average dropped from 8.2 to 7.1. Here's your Brussels sprouts protocol: buy them fresh, never frozen for this purpose. Cut each sprout in half lengthwise, toss with 1 tablespoon of olive oil and a pinch of salt. Roast at 425 degrees for 18 to 20 minutes until the edges are golden brown. Eat a 3/4 cup serving twice per week. The key is the high heat. It concentrates the beneficial compounds while creating natural sweetness, but Brussels sprouts are just the beginning of what cruciferous vegetables can do for blood sugar control. Which brings us to number 7. Number 7 is cauliflower. And this white wonder is probably the most versatile blood sugar-friendly vegetable you're not using enough of. Cauliflower contains sulforaphane, a compound that actually helps repair damage to your pancreas, the organ responsible for producing insulin. Think of sulforaphane as a construction crew for your pancreas. Over time, high blood sugar can damage the cells that produce insulin, but sulforaphane helps rebuild and protect these crucial cells. This is why people who eat cauliflower regularly often see improvements not just in their blood sugar numbers, but in how their body responds to insulin over time. The beauty of cauliflower is its adaptability. You can rice it, mash it, roast it, or even turn it into a pizza crust. But here's the key most people miss: to maximize sulforaphane content, you need to chop or crush the cauliflower and let it sit for 5 to 10 minutes before cooking. This activates enzymes that create more of the beneficial compound. Let me share what happened with Frank, 71. A retired postal worker who was taking 3 different medications for diabetes but still struggling with morning blood sugar spikes above 200. His wife started making cauliflower mash instead of mashed potatoes, and cauliflower rice instead of regular rice. Within 3 weeks, his morning numbers were consistently under 150. And his doctor was able to reduce one of his medications, your cauliflower protocol, by whole heads. Not pre-cut florets which lose potency quickly. Chop into small pieces and let sit for 10 minutes before cooking. Steam for 8 minutes or roast at 400 degrees for 20 minutes. Aim for 1 cup serving 4 times per week. You can prepare large batches and store in the refrigerator for up to 4 days. Now here's where things get really interesting. Because number 6 is a vegetable that most people think is just a garnish, number 6 is parsley. And before you dismiss this as just a decoration on your plate, listen to this: parsley contains myricetin, a flavonoid that can lower blood sugar as effectively as some prescription medications. But virtually no one over 60 knows how to use it therapeutically. Myricetin works by blocking certain enzymes that break down carbohydrates in your digestive system. This means less sugar gets absorbed into your bloodstream from the foods you eat. It's like having a natural speed bump for glucose absorption, giving your body more time to process sugar at a manageable pace. Research from diabetes centers has found that people who consume therapeutic amounts of fresh parsley can see blood sugar reductions of 15 to 20% within just 1 month. But here's the critical part: it has to be fresh parsley. consumed in specific amounts, not just a tiny sprig on your dinner plate. Dorothy, 69, a retired librarian, was frustrated because she was following her diabetic diet perfectly, but her after-meal blood sugar was still spiking to over 200. She felt like she was doing everything right but not seeing results. When I taught her to make fresh parsley tea and drink it with meals, her post-meal spikes dropped to under 160 within 2 weeks. She couldn't believe something so simple could be so effective. Here's your parsley protocol, and this is important: use only fresh flat-leaf parsley, not the curly kind which has less myricetin. Chop 2 tablespoons finely and add to salads, soups, or grain dishes daily. For therapeutic effect, steep 2 tablespoons of fresh chopped parsley in hot water for 5 minutes, strain, and drink this tea 30 minutes before your largest meal of the day. Do this 5 days per week. Store fresh parsley like flowers in water in your refrigerator to maintain potency. The power of herbs and leafy greens brings us naturally to number 5. Number 5 is arugula. And this peppery green contains compounds called glucosinolates that actually help your liver process sugar more efficiently while you sleep. Most people don't realize that blood sugar control is a 24-hour process. And what happens while you're sleeping is just as important as what happens during the day. Your liver acts like a glucose warehouse, releasing stored sugar into your bloodstream when your body needs energy. In people with diabetes, this system often releases too much sugar, especially during the early morning hours. Glucosinolates help regulate this process, ensuring your liver releases sugar more gradually and appropriately. The beauty of arugula is its simplicity. It requires no cooking to be effective, it's available year-round, and a little goes a long way in terms of flavor and benefit. But timing matters. Eating arugula with your evening meal provides the most benefit for overnight blood sugar control. Charles, 74, a retired engineer, was dealing with what his doctor called dawn phenomenon, where his blood sugar would be normal at bedtime but spiked to over 180 by morning. This frustrated him because he felt like he had no control over what happened while he slept. When he started adding a cup of fresh arugula to his dinner salad every night, his morning readings stabilized in the 120 to 140 range within just 10 days. Your arugula protocol is straightforward. Eat 1 cup of fresh arugula with your evening meal 6 days per week. You can use it as a salad base, add it to sandwiches, or stir it into warm dishes at the very end of cooking so it wilts slightly but retains its nutrients. Buy it in sealed bags and use within 3 days of opening for maximum potency. If the peppery taste is too strong, mix it with milder greens like spinach or butter lettuce. Speaking of leafy greens, number 4 is going to change how you think about vegetables and medication. Number 4 is spinach, but not just any spinach preparation. Raw spinach contains lipoic acid and magnesium in forms that work together like a natural blood sugar medication, but cooked spinach loses much of this power. Here's what most doctors don't tell their diabetic patients: magnesium deficiency is incredibly common in people over 60. And this deficiency makes blood sugar control nearly impossible. Magnesium acts like a key that unlocks your cells so glucose can enter and be used for energy instead of floating around in your bloodstream causing damage. When you're magnesium deficient, it's like trying to unlock your front door with the wrong key. No matter how hard you try, it just won't work properly. Fresh spinach provides magnesium in a form your body can actually use, unlike synthetic supplements that many people can't absorb well. The lipoic acid enhances this effect, creating a 1-2 punch for blood sugar control that's more powerful than either nutrient alone. Here's what happened with Maria, 66, a former school principal who was taking metformin but still struggling with blood sugar spikes after meals. She felt tired all the time and was starting to worry about needing insulin. When she started eating 2 cups of fresh baby spinach daily, split between lunch and dinner, her energy returned within a week, and her post-meal blood sugar readings dropped by an average of 40 points. Your spinach protocol requires attention to timing and preparation. Eat 1 cup of fresh baby spinach at lunch and 1 cup at dinner, 6 days per week. Never cook it if your goal is blood sugar control. Mix it into salads, layer it in sandwiches, or blend it into smoothies with low-glycemic fruits like berries. Buy pre-washed baby spinach in clamshell containers and use within 4 days. If you're taking blood-thinning medications, check with your doctor about consistent spinach intake. Now let's talk about number 3. And this is where things get controversial. Number 3 is green beans. But here's the shocking truth: most people are preparing them completely wrong and missing out on their most powerful blood sugar benefit. Green beans contain chromium, a trace mineral that enhances insulin function, but cooking them too long destroys the very compounds you need most. Chromium works by making your insulin more efficient. Think of insulin as a delivery truck trying to drop off glucose to your cells. When chromium levels are adequate, that delivery truck has GPS and takes the most direct route. When chromium is low, the truck gets lost, glucose builds up in your bloodstream, and your pancreas has to work overtime producing more insulin. Most people over 60 are chromium deficient because this mineral is easily lost during food processing and overcooking. But green beans, when prepared correctly, are one of the best food sources of bioavailable chromium. The controversy comes from how we've been taught to cook green beans. Traditional methods like boiling them until they're soft actually leach out the chromium and other beneficial compounds. The French method of blanching them briefly preserves these nutrients while still making them tender and delicious. Thomas, 70, a retired contractor, had been eating green beans twice a week for years because his wife read they were good for diabetics. But his blood sugar wasn't improving. They were boiling them for 15 minutes until they were mushy and gray. When I showed them how to blanch green beans for just 3 minutes, keeping them bright green and slightly crisp, something amazing happened. Within 2 weeks, his post-meal blood sugar readings were 30 to 40 points lower. And the green beans actually tasted better too. Here's your green bean protocol: buy fresh green beans, never canned for this purpose. Trim the ends and cut into 2-inch pieces. Bring a large pot of water to a rolling boil, add the green beans for exactly 3 minutes, then immediately plunge them into ice water to stop cooking. They should be bright green and still have a slight crunch. Eat 3/4 cup serving 3 times per week, either cold in salads or reheated quickly in a pan with a little olive oil. This preserves maximum chromium content while making them delicious, but green beans pale in comparison to number 2. And I guarantee this vegetable is in your refrigerator right now. Completely underutilized, number 2 will absolutely shock you because it's beets. And everything you think you know about beets and diabetes is probably wrong. Most diabetics avoid beets because they think they're too sweet and will spike blood sugar. But here's the truth that's buried in the research. Raw beets contain betalains and nitrates that actually improve blood sugar control while providing incredible benefits for circulation and energy. The key word here is raw. Cooking beets concentrates their natural sugars and reduces the beneficial compounds. But raw beets work completely differently in your body. The betalains help reduce inflammation in your blood vessels, which is crucial because diabetes damages circulation over time. The nitrates improve blood flow, helping glucose and nutrients reach your cells more efficiently. Here's what most people don't understand: the sugar in raw beets is bound to fiber and released slowly, creating a gentle rise in blood sugar rather than a spike. Plus, the betalains actually help your body process that sugar more effectively. It's like the difference between throwing gasoline on a fire versus adding logs that burn slowly and steadily, but preparation is everything. Raw beets need to be grated or spiralized to break down the tough fibers and make the nutrients available. Most people have never eaten raw beets because they don't know how to prepare them properly. Let me tell you about Patricia, 73, a retired bookkeeper who loved beets but was told by her diabetes educator to avoid them completely. She was disappointed because pickled beets were one of her favorite foods growing up. When I taught her to grate raw beets into salads and make a simple vinaigrette with apple cider vinegar, she discovered she could eat them without blood sugar spikes. In fact, her overall blood sugar control improved because the raw beets were helping her body process all her food more efficiently. After 3 weeks, her morning readings were consistently 20 points lower. your raw beet protocol requires proper preparation. Buy small to medium fresh beets, never the large ones which can be woody. Scrub well but don't peel. Using a box grater or food processor, grate beets into thin shreds. Mix immediately with acid like lemon juice or vinegar to prevent oxidation and enhance nutrient absorption. Eat a quarter cup serving 4 times per week, always as part of a mixed salad with protein and healthy fat. Start with smaller amounts and increase gradually as your digestive system adjusts. Now we come to number 1, and this vegetable is so powerful for blood sugar control that it can work faster than some medications. But 90% of people over 60 don't know how to unlock its full potential. Number 1 is bitter melon. And this knobby, unusual-looking vegetable contains compounds that actually mimic insulin in your body. It's like having a natural backup system for your pancreas, and in some traditional medical systems, it's been used for centuries to treat what we now know as diabetes. Bitter melon contains at least 3 different compounds that help lower blood sugar: charantin, visine, and polypeptide P. These work through different mechanisms, creating multiple pathways for better glucose control. Charantin helps your muscles absorb glucose more efficiently. Visine supports healthy insulin production. Polypeptide P acts like plant-based insulin, directly lowering blood glucose levels. The reason most Americans don't know about bitter melon is that it's an acquired taste and requires specific preparation methods to be both palatable and effective. But once you understand how to prepare it correctly, it becomes one of the most powerful tools in your blood sugar management arsenal. Research from diabetes treatment centers has shown that people who consume bitter melon regularly can see blood sugar reductions comparable to some prescription medications. But unlike medications, bitter melon also provides vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants that support overall health. Here's the story of William, 75, a retired mechanic whose blood sugar was consistently over 200 despite multiple medications. His doctor was considering insulin, which terrified him because his father had struggled with insulin injections and complications. When William started drinking bitter melon juice twice a week, following a specific preparation method to reduce the bitterness, his blood sugar dropped to an average of 140 within 1 month. His doctor was amazed and was able to reduce his medication dosage. Your bitter melon protocol is critical because preparation determines both effectiveness and palatability. Buy fresh bitter melon from Asian grocery stores. Choose fruits that are firm and bright green. Cut lengthwise, remove seeds and white pith. Slice thinly and soak in salt water for 30 minutes to reduce bitterness. Rinse well and pat dry. You can stir-fry with onions and a small amount of oil, or juice it with apple and lemon to mask the bitter taste. Start with a quarter cup serving twice per week and increase gradually. Some people prefer bitter melon tea made by steeping thin slices in hot water for 10 minutes. Never exceed 1 cup per day, and check with your doctor if you're taking diabetes medications, as it may enhance their effects. But here's something interesting to think about. Try standing on 1 foot right now for 10 seconds. Can you do it without wobbling? Balance and blood sugar control are more connected than most people realize. Because diabetes affects the small nerves that help with coordination and balance, the vegetables we've talked about today don't just help with blood sugar. They support overall health in ways that become more important as we age. Better circulation from beets helps with energy and mental clarity. The anti-inflammatory compounds in bitter melon support joint health. The magnesium in spinach helps with sleep quality, and good sleep is crucial for blood sugar control. What I want you to understand is that managing diabetes after 60 isn't about deprivation or boring food. It's about making informed choices and preparing foods in ways that maximize their healing potential. Every vegetable on this list can be prepared in multiple delicious ways once you understand the basic principles. The key is consistency rather than perfection. You don't need to eat all 10 vegetables every day. Pick 3 or 4 that appeal to you and focus on incorporating them regularly using the protocols I've outlined. Small, consistent changes compound over time into significant improvements in your blood sugar control and overall quality of life. Remember that individual responses can vary. And if you're taking diabetes medications, some of these vegetables may enhance their effects. Always work with your healthcare provider as you make dietary changes. Especially if you start seeing improvements in your blood sugar readings, the food industry wants you to believe that managing diabetes requires expensive special products and complicated meal plans. But nature provides powerful tools that are often more effective than processed alternatives. The vegetables on this countdown have been helping people manage blood sugar for centuries. Long before modern medicine understood the mechanisms behind their effectiveness, your body has an incredible capacity to heal and improve at any age. The right foods, prepared correctly and consumed consistently, can help you reclaim control over your blood sugar and your health. You don't have to accept that diabetes will inevitably get worse with age. With the right knowledge and commitment to simple daily practices, many people see significant improvements in their numbers and how they feel. So here's my question for you: which of these 10 vegetables surprised you the most? And which one will you try first this week? Share your thoughts in the comments below and let me know how these changes work for you.